Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's your boy Francis Lee, and I want to welcome you to hell on earth. That's what the dumpster fire that is currently the New York Yankees feels like. And I promise this video is not going to have a negative down tone the whole time. I think there's been a lot of that, and I think there's been enough of that. I'm actually going to try to be solutions-based. I actually am going to try to be solutions-based. But before that, I must say, we are going through a pretty rough stretch, rougher than most of the stretches I can really remember as of late. There were some bad ones. Some bad times, I guess, 15, 16, but I wasn't expecting the way I was expecting things, this year. And so it's been tough. It's been really, really tough. The Yankees have just completed being swept following, back-to-back weekends. Last weekend, it was the Detroit Tigers. And this weekend, to, make matters better in terms of ego, in a sense, it was the Boston Red Sox, our arch nemesis, our rival, if we could even call ourselves that at this point, right? It's not good. Sandwiched in between that was a split with the Rays where we probably could have won 3 out of 4 games. And then you look back at this series where we could have won 2 out of the 3. We end up getting swept. And what can you say? What can you say, right? Well, I'll tell you what I say. I say we suck. We suck bad. Really bad. We can't play defense. We can't play defense. The guys we're putting out there are defensively inept. We can't run the bases. We can't run the bases. Rules that are staples from when you're a child playing, t-ball. Not t-ball, but once you get to pee-wees and all that, rules that are pretty commonly enforced. And we see guys making these outs on the base paths like they never even played pee-wees. With consistency. We're not hitting. But that's been the story all year. The guys just aren't hitting. Nobody's hitting. You got Aaron Judge and Gio. They've been the only consistent people all year. Aaron Judge is quietly having a great year. Great year. We're wasting it. Gio's been Gio. He struggled a little early on, but he figured it out. It's been consistent. Gleyber's hot and cold, come and go. We don't know. Honestly, we don't know. Scary thing. Have no idea what Gleyber Torres is right now. I'm sorry. He had a decent weekend. It seemed like all of his hits mattered. They were big hits, right? Still can't tell you. Let me see. Give me something against the Phillies. Give me something against Minnesota. Let me see some consistency, Gleyber. Because all throughout this year so far, I'm not buying it. And everybody else? What is there to say? DJ is 8 for 46 or something like that with runners in scoring position. That's not the DJ LeMahieu we know. It's not the DJ LeMahieu we know. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not on the LI Yankee King bandwagon of trade DJ LeMahieu. That's just cockamamie. It's idiotic. We're not trading DJ LeMahieu. But the guy's got to figure it out. Sooner rather than later. He's got to figure it out. Giancarlo, since he's come off the IL, he just looks bad. Completely overmatched. This guy can't hit fastballs belt high down the pipe. I'm not talking 99, 100, 102. That'll take time to catch up to, especially coming off the IL. But when you can't hit a 93 mile an hour fastball down the dick, this is 2017 NL MVP Giancarlo Stanton right now. I don't know. And I've been a defender. Of Stanton's for a while, but boy, it doesn't even look like he's in it a lot of the time. I need you to look like you're in it because you're getting paid 25 to 27 million to be a freaking DH. You got to look like you're in it. And again, I'm sorry because I said this video is going to be a little bit, better, right? I'm trying to be solutions oriented with this video, but I'm venting a little bit at the front because I know all of us are in the same space right now. Well, we're at this point in the season where the Yankees are only 3 games above 500 after just being 9 games up. They're 3 games above 500 now or whatever that is. And we're all just sheesh. Did you think that they were going to? No, I know you didn't think. I didn't think. And yet here we are. And yet here we are. The pitching was carrying us for a long time. For a long time. Right? But I mean, how much longer was it going to happen that way? Right? You can't just keep relying on that. Right? Kluber got hurt. Tyon's getting better. Herman has been great. So all of you guys have been real quiet. All that whole crowd talking about he shouldn't even be here. You guys have been real quiet lately when he's been one of the only pitchers outside of Cole who's been worth a damn. But this is not for that. This is not for that. Again, like I said, I want to be solutions oriented. I'm going to start this. I'm going to preface the video, really, the content of my video, by saying that if you're waiting on Brian Cashman and the New York Yankees to make that big blockbuster deal at the trade deadline, I wouldn't hold my breath. Because I'm almost 98% sure that deal's not going to happen. And the reason being is that we're $5 million from the luxury tax threshold. We're already spending 205, 20 whatever, almost 206 in payroll. We don't got enough to get through. We've got 5 million to go. So it's 204 and change that we're at now. We've got 5 million and change to go before the threshold is. They're not going to go through, they're not going to go over the threshold. If you're Hal Steinbrenner, and I understand there's a lot of you out there who love to count Steinbrenner's pockets and you love to be in his wallet and talk about how much revenue the Yankees have made over the years and things like that. And while I understand your sentiment, because they have been making the most revenue and all, I understand that completely. You have to also put yourself in that man's shoes. If you're spending $204 million already and the team has looked like this year, what incentive do you have to spend even more? But this time, it's spending even more, and you're going to be taxed on top of that spending even more, and you're going to lose draft picks on top of that, and you're going to lose international pools. Like, think about it. Calculate the cost. You're spending $204 million already, and this is what you've gotten so far. What's the incentive to go blowing through the luxury tax threshold? Because best case scenario in terms of trades, I say the best case scenario, right, would be a fantasy if the Yankees got these three guys. Trevor Story, Max Scherzer, Ketel Marte. Marte addresses the outfield. Scherzer addresses the pitching situation. And of course, Trevor Story shores up the infield, right? You're fielding an infield of DJ LeMahieu, Trevor Story, and Gio Urshela. You're going to be up there with anyone else in terms of like infield gloves, right? With Gleyber being the, lesser of the four guys. But Gleyber would be at second, where he is, a little bit stronger at least than he is at short. But that's a dream scenario. The Yankees don't have enough prospects to get all three of those guys. Now, I'm not on the bandwagon that says that we're not good enough to get any of the guys, because that's just complete horseshit. But the truth of the matter is, if we could get those guys, we could get one, maybe two. And the maybe two thing would only be because Scherzer and Story are on expiring deals. A guy like Ketel Marte is going to cost. She's controllable. His contract is super team friendly. That's going to cost. But even if we got all three of those guys, I'm sorry. I don't know that closes up all the holes that this team has. And if you're realistic with yourselves, I don't know that you can say you know that either. Because while Max Scherzer would be a great guy to pitch Game 2 after Garrett Cole in Game 1, who pitches Game 3? Severino's coming back. If he comes back and he's hot and he's everything we want him to be, then we got Sevy and we pencil him in. But if he doesn't, gotta remember, this guy hasn't pitched in a while. Are we going to put it on Tyone? Are we going to put it on Monty? Are we going to put it on Kluber if Kluber makes it back? Are we going to put it on Herman? I hope Herman continues the way he has been so far, but I don't know. And once you get to playoffs, you're talking about 7-game series. You got to win 4 games. You got to win 4 games. And we can't just be banking on Cole having to give us 2 of those games. Just has to give us 2 of those games. And some of you say, why not? He's making 30 whatever million a year. He should give us 2 of those games in every one of those series. It's just not real. It's just not realistic. That's why. It's just not realistic. Not that he can't do it, because he sure as hell can do it. But if we want him to make it the long haul, we can't have him doing that. Simple as that. Outfield will be addressed in Ketel Marte in a sense, because you'd have Judge and Ketel out there, but then we still don't have a left fielder. right? I mean, or center field, whichever. We'll still be one outfielder out, right? So we still be playing one of Clint Frazier, Brett Gardner, Tyler Wade, or Andujar. Andujar would never see, like, in the playoffs, they probably would never let him see it. But, you know, there's that. And like I said, Trevor Story, nice pickup. Another right-handed bat, though, in the lineup of that's only right-handed, really. And if you add those two bats, Ketel Marte and Trevor Story, and they do continue hitting, and they hit well, and join the only other two guys who are hitting well, and Gio Urshela and Aaron Judge, that's only 4 guys hitting in a 9-man lineup. Did the Dodgers only have 4 guys hitting last year? Hell, did the Rays only have 4 guys hitting last year? Do the Red Sox only have 4 guys hitting right now? What makes us think that just 4 guys hitting is going to be enough to win a World Series? And that's a fantasy scenario, guys. So let's come back to the real world. In the real world, I don't think any of those three deals have a really high likelihood of happening. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But I say, one, if this team continues playing the way they've been playing, why even make the run at Max Scherzer? For what? For half a season to do what? Why even make the run at Trevor Story? Lose pieces for what? If any of these deals are to be made, this team's got to ship up and shape up now. Right now. I can't even talk. That's how badly this team has been doing that it has me this frustrated. I can't even speak properly. Because I live and die with this team. Like I said on the round table the other night. I literally live and die with this team. Right? 30 years old. Okay? I was literally a kindergarten kid at the beginning of that dynasty in the 90s, man. I grew up with that. These aren't the Yankees that I grew up watching. And all you people on Twitter saying, oh, the Yankee fans expect too much. Yo, man, listen. What I would like to say, I don't want to say to you because this is a family channel. But, bro, you can't expect us to have low expectations when what we saw in the 90s is fact and etched in history. That's what somebody who's 30 years old like me, that's all I've seen. Right? It's championships, excellence, legends. Okay? Jeter, Mo, Posada, Pettit. You know what I'm saying? Like Tino. Legends. Men. Not these wimps that we have in the dugout right now. Because one of my biggest issues with this team is that we got a bunch of bitches in the dugout. I'm so sorry for I should re-record again. I'm not going to. I'm not going to. But that's my biggest thing. There's a bunch of wimps in this dugout. Starting with Boone. We've gotten embarrassed year in and year out by the Astros, by the Red Sox, now by the Tampa Bay Rays. We're getting embarrassed. We're getting embarrassed as a fan base. We're getting ridiculed all over the place because this team doesn't show up because this team is soft. So you said, Francis, you said you were going to be solutions oriented. What solutions do you have? A shake-up. Call the kids up. Let's see what we got. Why continue fielding this defensively inept outfield when we got guys in the minors who actually play these positions, who deserve a shot, who are hitting right now in the minors? They're hitting, okay? Or in the cases where they're not hitting as well in the minors, they're probably not going to do worse than what we have up here now. So give them a shot anyway. Simple as that. Miguel Andujar is not an outfielder. So when plays like what I think it was Saturday's game happened or whatever, it's like, what do we expect? Clint Frazier, not the most defensively apt guy to have out there. You know what I'm saying? Gardner's old. He's old. His legs, they're going. Okay, it's like, what do we expect from him out there? He doesn't have the range he used to have. He's not commanding the outfield. He's not the freaking captain of the outfield. Like, what are we doing here? Freaking geriatric with a glove on. This guy should be at home barbecuing, not manning center field for the New York Yankees in back-to-back games with consistency. No. Not when we have guys like this. Trey Ambergy. He's in AAA right now. 26 years old. Be 27 in October. Young kid. We drafted him. Batting .404 right now. 47 at-bats. It's not a big sample size. I think it's been about, 10 games or whatever. to maybe 11, whatever. But 47 at-bats. He's batting 400, 5 home runs, 20 RBIs. OPS is at over 1,200. You might say, small sample size, only 10 games in AAA. So what? So what? I bet you send Gardner down there right now and give him the same span of games. His numbers don't look half that good. So why is this kid sitting down there? He's actually a left fielder. He actually plays left field. He's an outfielder, for real. Like, he's a real outfielder. He's down there chilling. Thomas Malone. Thomas Malone. This guy's interesting. He's a year younger than Ambergy. So he's 26, but he just turned 26 in January, right? This guy plays more than one position in the outfield. I think he plays center. I think he plays center and left. Probably better suited for left, but can play center. I guarantee you, he's probably a safer bet in center than having Judge there with consistency. Just knowing what Judge's issues are. He's there. Chilling. 88 at-bats. He's played about twice as many games as Ambergy has. He's batting .330. 4 home runs, 14 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, a little bit of speed. He's OPS around 980. 980. Here's the interesting thing I like about him, though. This guy was drafted by Tampa Bay in 2013. Go back and look. Any of you who really know baseball and really like to get into the nitty-gritty of this stuff, go back and look at Tampa Bay's draft picks from 2012 to now. Right? They draft very, very, very well. And their draft grades are always in the higher percentiles around the league. Okay? They rarely miss. They rarely miss. When it comes to evaluating raw talent, the Rays might be the best in the league. And that's why people don't like trading with them, because you almost always lose. You almost always lose. Because the Rays have a great eye to evaluate talent, specifically at this level. You might be saying, well, if he's so good, then why'd they let him go? Well, because you can't control it. Right? There's different things that happen where you got to let some of these guys go, Rule 5 draft, things like that, whatever. But still, it's very interesting to note that he was drafted by them. He's with us now, and he's doing pretty well currently as we speak. Best thing about Malone, though, he's a lefty. He's a lefty. The left-hand side of the batter's box, the one that we say that we don't have anybody worth a damn batting out of, it's him. It's him. He's right there. Give him a month. Give him a month. 4 weeks. What's the worst that can happen? You think he's going to be worse than Ford? I bet the farm he puts up better numbers than Ford if we give him a shot. No, he's hanging out in AAA. He's hanging out in AAA. He's on Greyhounds. Flo, you guys know him. We've been screaming for Flo. Florial. He's not ready. He's not ready. He's not ready. What do you want? The guy's 23. He'll be 24 in November. Yeah, he's young. But let me tell you something. This whole not ready thing, it doesn't make much sense to me, because if these guys aren't ready, then why aren't they being moved for guys who do fit the timeline? Because if they're not ready right now, then that means they don't fit the timeline. That whole thing that Cashman was trying to sell you guys about building a dynasty, not just a team that's going to win 1 ring, it's bullshit. I'm sorry, but it's bullshit. Because the first thing you have to do is win 1 ring. And we haven't done it. We haven't even been to a World Series. We haven't even been to a World Series. You know how much that hurt me last year when we lost? And every outlet was just talking about how this was the first 10-year span since God knows when, like the 1920s or whatever. The first 10-year span that the Yankees didn't even make a World Series. And Cashman's talking about we're trying to build a dynasty. You didn't even build a contender, really. Look at this team this year. What are we doing? Florial's numbers don't look great. He's batting 189 down there, 95 at-bats. He's played about as much as Thomas Malone has. He's struggling in terms of average. His OPS is a 740, though. You might say, oh, so what, Francis? What does that mean? Well, for context, DJ's OPS up here is in the 6. It's like in the 6 something? 650. If this guy can come over here and beat 700 or 680, 690, he'd have a higher OPS than DJ does right now. And DJ's leading off every goddamn game. You telling me we can't give this kid a shot? A month? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? No. And trust me, there's been pushback. Not everybody at the NYY News crew is all for this, right? You got some people that say, no, he's not ready. And if he comes up too early, you can mess up his mental, right? and he may never, reach his full potential. But what I say to that is that there's only one way to find out. There's only one way to find out. All these guys aren't going to be Aaron Judge. They're not going to be able to come up at that age and just be better because they spent more time down there and they're older. I don't think so. Not the way this season is going. We can't have talent like this just chilling at AAA. I'm sorry. Cashman wants to be so right about these guys that he doesn't want to call them up and risk them looking bad, because then he'd look even worse. Well, I got news for you, Brian. You can't look much worse than you already do now. And if this team screws the pooch royally and continues playing like this, they won't even make a wild card. Can you imagine? $204 million of payroll, not even playing in a wild card game? Trust me, Cashman, you'd have bigger problems than whether or not Flo pans out or not. But another reason why I say call him up is that look at what the guys up here are doing. Clint, God love you. God love you, man. I love Clint Frazier, all right? I know the guy gets a lot of flack. He goes against the grain, the hair, the sneaker thing or whatever. I fuck with it. I'm sorry. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I do. I like it. I think the Yankees need more of that swag. Sometimes it comes off a little corny, sometimes. But most of the time, I'm like, we could use a little more of that. But the problem is when that comes with good numbers, it's accepted. When it comes with a 185 batting average, nobody cares about your sneakers, Clint. I'm sorry. You're below the Mendoza line. You're 15 points below the Mendoza line. I'm sorry. It's just not good enough. Brett Gardner, old man Gardner, the constant Gardner. 190. 190. We paid to have this guy back. We paid money that now we're up against in terms of trade talks. We paid money to have him. And now that money is coming back in the back of Hal and Cashman's mind, saying like, yeah, you only got $5 million more to spend. If you didn't sign him, you would have a little more, but you did. And this is what he's doing. 190. Andujar, he's trying. Andujar's not an outfielder though. Okay? He's batting .235. He's only got 85 at-bats this year. Okay, so when you compare that to 126 for Brett Gardner and 150 for Clint, Andujar has not had enough of a shot yet for us to really determine what he's been doing hitting-wise. But I'll tell you this. In his small sample hitting-wise, he's hitting better than the rest of these guys. In terms of outfield. Obviously not named Aaron Judge. So does Andujar need to get more reps? Yes. But preferably not too many in the outfield. I don't know. It's just, I'm sorry. It's just not for him. And of course you got Tyler Wade, the waiter. Waiter's only had 37 at-bats, not even 40 at-bats yet, okay? Andujar has been around, I feel like less time, and he's already, more than doubled Wade's at-bats. But it's because Wade technically is always known to be a guy who can't hit. So far this year, though, in the 37 at-bats he's got 10 hits. Now, are a lot of those swinging bunts that he beats out with his speed? Yes. But here's what I'm going to say. You're not going to believe it because I was very adamant against Wade. But at this point, give him more playing time if that's what it takes. At least, out of the 40 at-bats that he's got so far, it's 37 really, but almost 40, he's got 10 hits. I don't care how he's doing it, but he's doing it. He's fast. He actually knows how to run the bases. I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe give him more playing time. I don't know, but I can't continue to see this. I can't continue to see Brett Gardner. I just can't. I can't. And out of the rest of these guys, I think outside of Gardner, who has the experience in the outfield but has slowed down now because of his age, if it's between Gardner and Wade, I actually would say Wade. And I know some of you are going to say, oh, I don't know, Tyler Wade sucks, whatever. I get it. I don't know. But I would say, let me see Wade with some consistency, with some starts. I don't know. Let's see. So far, all we have to go off of is 37 at-bats. He's got 10 hits. That's a 270 so far. That's a 270 batting average so far. He's also a lefty. He doesn't have pop or whatever, but he's also a lefty. It does give another look to a pitcher when he's up there. Whether he's actually going to hit or not, we don't know. But honestly, I'd rather this than Gardner at this point. And I know that might be crazy to some of you, but that's just where I'm at. That is where I'm at. So these are my solutions. Call up the kids. Call up one or two of them. Give Flo another shot, an actual shot. Let him stay up here a few games. You don't want to do Flo, Ambergy, and Thomas Malone. Those guys are down there. They're hitting. They're raking, actually. Like, let's see. Bring them up. Give them 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Those guys aren't even as young as Flo. You're talking about two 26-year-olds. One will be 27 in October. What are we waiting for? Call these kids up. Something's got to give. Something has got to give. Your boy Francis Lee, signing out. Hopefully these dudes remember how to play baseball at some point.